Welcome back to the Reptiles With Podcast. Today we're hanging out at the Atlanta Repticon in September. But before we get started, hit like, hit subscribe, and share with your reptile-loving friends. This episode was brought to you by Premium Crickets, Reptiles Express, and Repticon Reptile Shows. We're at the end of the year pretty much, dude.
We are.
How did the season go?
It's been all right. It's definitely, this is my first year, doing all this stuff and everything like that, show-wise. So yeah. I definitely can't complain because this is my first take of it all, and we haven't done horribly. So I definitely mess with it. There's highs and lows, but that comes with everything. That comes with the business.
Yeah. So since this is the first year that you're doing this, what were you doing before it?
So
mainly like herping, working with some venomous shit?
Yeah, just the social media stuff for a year and a half. Before that, I was in a small little reptile shop and whatnot, but mainly just herping, doing all that stuff, like building content before I was even making content and stuff, basically. All that jazz.
Did you breed any of the venomous stuff?
So no, I just started keeping venomous. All my experience was through herping everything in the wild, and then going to the private keepers, their collections, as well as these other big facilities, and going and helping out there. But I just recently I got a little copper, and I have a big cane break now. Those things are great. I love it. Finally, being a keeper, because all my friends used to tease me, being oh, you got nothing, you're doing nothing, you keep your non-venomous fake snakes over there. But the venomous hobby can be a little toxic. No pun intended.
That is funny.
But
that is funny. Yeah, no, I was telling my wife the other day, I don't think I would handle anything. Maybe I could hook something, but it's I just have no experience at all, and I don't think that I have, me personally, any business doing something like that that's gonna put the animal in harm's way, because I might be nervous, and obviously I don't want anything bad to happen to me, right?
Yeah, I say for you, man, you definitely, it's not for everyone. It's not something anyone needs to do. But you have access to so many non-venomous snakes, and I know there's a hook around. A snake's a snake. Start working them on a hook. Get comfortable with it. You're comfortable with how to move the hook. You're comfortable with the way a snake works on a hook. It's not going to be the exact same, but you're more comfortable in that field where even if you weren't trying to go out and deliberately do it, you are in Florida. You have venomous snakes. They could be in your yard. And you might want to move it, and you want to move it safely,
Exactly.
So just knowing what to do is always great.
Yeah.
And you don't have to take the hot approach immediately. You don't have to start with the loaded gun.
We used to have a friend. It's been years that I've spoken to this person, that he pretty much went through, and I've said it before on the podcast, so I'm sorry if you're listening and you've heard this before, but he went through all the phases of reptile keeping in a year. He started at the beginning of the year with a bearded dragon.
That's ADHD crazy.
Yeah. A month later was I bought all these ball pythons to start breeding them. And then 2 months later, he's okay, I'm going to start. He got some blue tongues. A month after that, he's well, I went to the Everglades and caught these berms, and now I'm keeping them. And then 2 months after that, he's I just drove to South Carolina to the Reptile Expo and bought a whole bunch of venomous snakes, and I just drove back down to Florida. I'm dude, what are you doing? We went to his house, and all of his old animals, bearded dragons, ball pythons, gone. It was all venomous everywhere. And then his partner at the time, was not about that shit. So it was weird. It was weird.
It's definitely an addictive thing with all the animals, but once you start working with your venomous stuff, obviously adrenaline's coming into play, and I feel a lot of us reptile keepers are already we like that adrenaline, we like that rush, a little bit of excitement. So once they step into that world, some people they tend to lose it a little bit, and that's when it could be dangerous, because a lot more, at least, because you're getting in a bit over your head at that point. Once you have that many snakes, you could be the best of the best, but the more venomous snakes there is, the more you're working with them, the more and more you're likely to potentially have an accident.
It's I don't know. It's one of those things where if you're gonna be working with it, you gotta be safe, and you have to put, if you're interested in it, you gotta put yourself in a situation where you search for the knowledge. When I was like fresh into the reptile hobby, because I mean, I've told you, I got into this stuff late, you know. I was, the last tour that I went on, our van broke down, It was like somewhere between Tennessee and Georgia, actually, in some mountain, whatever. So we're there on the side of the road, you know, and all my friends, they're on these like rocks, smoking, whatever. We're just waiting for the van to cool down. And like I said, brand new into the reptile hobby, my dumbass was like, I'm just going to flip some rocks. I'm just going to see, you know, like I've never herped before, but I'm going to do it right now. Yeah. So then my friend is standing on a pile of rocks, you know. So I put my head under where he's standing, and I don't see anything. Fresh into this shit. Like, I don't have an eye for any of this stuff. And then I just hear, and then my eyes just focus in. And, dude, when I tell you there was a timber right here by my face,
eye to eye.
Bro, eye to eye.
Damn.
So I jumped up, and I was like, oh, fuck, there's rattlesnakes. Everybody get the fuck out of here. You know? So we all, like, it wasn't even like a jump. Like, let's say this was the rock. This was my friend. We just kind of, like, levitated.
Just flew away, man.
We just flew.
Best way to do it. Don't get them feet down there.
So within that, like, maybe like 16-foot area that we were at, we started just like walking back and forth on like the opposite side of the barricade, and we counted 16 of them just there.
Oh damn!
Hanging out.
That means you hit a den spot right there.
Exactly.
That's what that stuff is perfect for. Like all those piled up rocks, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like that is gold. That's what you're looking for.
Dude, that's crazy. I think because of that, it kind of put me like in the headspace, like where no matter what situation, I'm just not prepared.
Yeah,
you know?
You got it.
Yeah.
As far as like when it goes, like being out there, like, I mean, all depends on like what state you're in, obviously stuff like that. But like, yo, in the wild, it's still the wild. Like when like you gotta still think of that. We like to like lose that thing. It's like, oh, it's a public park. It's like, yeah, it's a public park, and there's native rattlesnakes under all these rocks. Watch out.
Do you have any like crazy herp stories? Anything that like sticks out?
I mean, as far as like, not like, oh man, that's like what you just got right there, like super close call or anything like that. Honestly, no, just like stuff that happened while herping, not even with a herp. Like I was in Puerto Rico and we were looking for some cave boas. And we're hiking, we're all up in these mountains and we're checking in all the caves, we're going in and out. And we seen one from a distance that we hiked up to. When we get up to it, it wasn't a true cave. It was more just like a little cove.
Yeah.
But in it, we seen these vines going up into the thing, like way up in the mountain. There was just like a little hole. So I'm messing around. I was like, oh, I'm going to climb it. I start climbing, and I'm shaking it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, get my picture. And then I just hear this noise. It sounded like a tornado was happening. Like you just hear mass amounts of wind.
Yeah.
Dude, just all out, like all around my body. They're all just touching me and slapping us all in the faces. Just bats. They all came out of this hole through the thing. Just came out. And I swear on everything I know and love, Shikaka was up in there. We saw my first wild albino animal in the world. It was an albino bat. Flew right out of there, like as yellow as could be with all the rest of them. And like that was like the ultimate, like one of probably my top animal experiences in general. Because like finding a wild morph of anything is like pretty crazy. It's never happened to me besides that moment right there. And for it to be something like a bat and something that's a little iconic. No, it's not leucistic and white like the movie, but still something like that like sticks with me. And then like we always have like that little moment of like, yo, remember when we found Shikaka in that mountain?
Dude, that's cool. Do you have like a lifer? Do you have like one species that you want to see that you haven't seen yet?
A lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. I haven't been over to Asia. Like I still haven't really been too much in South America and everything like that, Central America. So there's tons and tons. Like obviously, absolute lifer of any herp would be over in New Zealand. I want to see a tuatara.
Oh, got you. Yeah,
absolutely anything. Snake wise, I want to see like I want to see kings and all that stuff like that. Just like a wild cobra to me is just so. Being in North America and everything else like that, like we have vipers, we don't see that stuff, like no cobras. So that's what's really big for me, all that type style stuff. And it's like it's not even more so to catch, it's more so to see. Like love to go to Komodo Island, check out the Komodos, see the friggin' everything like that, little pit vipers.
Yeah.
So.
Now that these guys have me going outside more, like I've been thinking about that a lot, and I don't think I have like anything specific that I'm like crazy to see. You know what it is that most of the shit that I would want to see in the wild is shit that I'm currently keeping. You know, like if I saw a blue tongue in Australia, and it could be like in the most casual situation, I'd probably lose my shit.
Yeah.
They took me to go see some striped mud turtles, you know, in some like small ponds, and that was cool.
Yeah.
If I could see some like diamondback terrapins and like the marshes by the Keys, like that'd be fucking sick.
I'd love to see spotted turtles.
Yeah,
Little
that'd
guys.
be cool.
But also, I realized I totally just lied to like everybody here. Indian gharial.
Oh, there
care.
you go.
Don't care about anything else.
Okay.
Nothing else.
Hell
Everything
yeah,
you disappear.
dude. When you went to Puerto Rico, was that pre or post retic?
That was pre. I mean, I'm sure it was happening, but it was pre like everyone posting about it and having spots. I got family out there, so we go like every year. But, since COVID, we have not been down or anything like that. So it's been a little bit, but I can't wait to get back up there. Could finally go get some retics from there.
That's
see all
crazy,
the like,
dude.
Right, we haven't seen any of like like the red tails stuff like that yet. But Puerto Rico, I've normally just been on like do little herp trips while I'm there because I'm there more so for my family.
Yep.
But no, I definitely want to put something together where like me and a few other people get like a real like herp expedition going on. Go for the retics, go for all the different types of boas, the caimans, things like that.
Yeah. I'd love to do something like that. I just got to get a little better with these frogs, man.
Bro.
I'm not worried about the fucking retics. I'm worried about these goddamn frogs.
So honestly, I would tell you straight up, the frogs are worse in Florida. As far as your populations go, like your density, there's so many, but in Puerto Rico, they have a lot of small species of frogs. They're hiding out in all the bromeliads. They're hiding in all like the tops of your palms and everything.
That's the thing though, like something small like that, whenever I see something small hopping, it doesn't trip me out. It's when it starts getting sizey, when it's like the size of my hand on a tree and it's jumping in your direction.
They still have invasive Cubans. Cubans are everywhere.
I'll never go. It's done.
Sorry, bro. I didn't mean to ruin it. But
Goodbye, Puerto Rico. It was nice knowing you.
They're everywhere, bro. They're such a nuisance.
Yeah.
But
they are a nuisance.
Yeah,
and the Cuban tree frogs.
End them.
I'm kidding. Dude, I can't with that.
They
All right,
make
bro.
great pets, though, man.
No, they don't.
They do.
Stop.
They do. You need them.
The blasphemy. I don't need shit. All right, where can people find you? Tag your Instagram.
All right, well, I'm dreaded_reptiles on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. That's going to be all wildlife education content. And I just recently, if you guys are into it, I started a homesteading and farm style account called Sherman.and.friends. So Sherman and Friends with periods in between instead of spaces. Yeah. It's all just homestead stuff on the farm and my little animals.
Hell yeah, thanks, bro.
No doubt, man.
MFD, Mid-Florida Displays. Talk to me about the conception of this idea.
This idea was conception of my business partner, Mark Lubbins.
Okay.
He had the idea. I had the funds. We came together, and we started Mid-Florida Displays as a partnership.
Cool. So the first time that I had conversations with you, it was the first time that I saw the cage that you build that fits perfectly on top of some of the racks.
The rack enclosures.
Yeah, the rack enclosures. How did that idea come around?
That's an idea he said he's been sitting on for 5 or 6 years, but he's never been able to conceptualize it because he didn't have a CNC router machine.
Got you.
That's where I came in. I went out and purchased the CNC router machine. He knows how to do the design on the machine, and he ran with it.
Yeah.
So he actually was able to bring to life enclosure that actually sits on top of a rack.
Yeah. And I mean, now you guys have so many different kinds. You know, obviously you guys have the racks. You know, that's kind of like not the generic thing, but that's the thing that most people do with PVC. But the caging, the thought that gets put into it, the way that you guys do, ventilation. We were just talking about it's a 4x2.
4x2x4 for Chinese water dragon.
Yes, correct. And you're telling me that it comes with a divider, and then the person can put some sealant, and it'll hold in water and stuff like that. Like these are things that not a lot of people are, in my opinion, are thinking about. So I think that's very cool. And then even as far as you guys are doing stuff with acrylic too, because you guys are doing like displays for shows.
We're actually doing acrylic snake towers.
Okay.
We're doing acrylic displays.
Yeah.
But we're not doing the normal stuff. We're still working out some kinks on some ideas that we're doing. We don't want to be normal.
Yeah.
So we're bringing something different to the table. We brought out some promos or demos.
Yeah.
But after I test them, I change them. And that takes sometimes months to get the changes I want done.
Yeah. Do you think that that is a big factor of your success?
I think our success is due to one issue, or it's not even an issue. If somebody comes to me and says they want something done a certain way, we say yes.
Okay.
There hasn't been a project yet that somebody's came up with that we've said no to.
Okay.
We're customer service based. If a customer wants an enclosure or a rack built a certain way, we're going to do our best to see if we can do it. And if we can, we do it.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, because I like that that you're testing a lot of this stuff. I feel like, so one may like come up with an idea, implement it, and then put it straight to market. But you really are taking your time to figure out what it is that works. So what's like your best seller?
Our best seller is a 2-door enclosure for ball pythons.
Really?
Yeah, it's a 48 by 18 by 14.
Nice.
Because they stack up so nice, they can have LED lights in them. They got the back heat on them.
Is that one of the ones that you have there?
Yes.
Okay. Is it the one that's right there, like right next to your table?
It's the one that has the acrylic snake tower on it.
Ah, okay. Oh, okay.
We do the single doors. Those are our second best sellers. If somebody buys one snake, they can buy a single door enclosure that's 24 by 18 by 14.
Now, mind you, with something like that, those 4-foot ones, are you selling those mainly to pet owners or to breeders?
Those mostly go to people that have 1 or 2 ball pythons, or they may have a collection of 8 and they stack them on top of each other.
Yeah.
The majority of your breeders are going to go with the racks to conserve space.
Yeah. So something that at Daytona, I spoke to one of the bigger rack manufacturers, specifically the metal frame ones. I'm not going to say which one it was, but I had told an old school. So one of the animals that I breed are blue-tongue skinks. An old school way of breeding blue-tongue skinks are in snake racks, and then brumation cycle, and then pair them one by one kind of thing. The problem is that it's a rack. There's no lighting. There's none of that. So right now I actually just built an outdoor enclosure. So a lot of my blue tongues are going to go outside, and then I'm trying to figure out another way to have the rest of them still inside, but in a better rack situation. So I spoke with those manufacturers, and I was like, hey, like, have you considered making these levels a little bit bigger, and then changing the replaceable top to where you can have some kind of lights? Because I mean, belly heat, I'm fine with belly heat, because they're going to be able to get the heat that they want. But I would like to offer some kind of UV. I would like to do these things. Do you think that you would ever consider something like that in a rack situation?
We've got something like that, but it's more of an enclosure situation.
Okay.
Where we actually make an enclosure that does stack on top of each other, but it allows for the UVB light and the basking light to be on top. We actually build a false cabinet that fits on top. So you can use that for storage and just stack them on top so it looks like enclosure, then a false storage area where you got your lighting at and your heat at, and then you can put your next level on.
Got you. Cool. I'm going to, by the end of the weekend, I'm going to show you a style of caging that I've been looking at to see if you guys can do something like that. I've been trying to figure out a way to work with you guys, to get something from you guys. I saw some of the show displays that you guys had in like one of the Orlando shows, and I did like it a lot. But now, as far as reptiles, what are you working with?
I don't work with any of the reptiles.
Really? What are those reptiles there?
That is my wife.
Wow.
I got in. She's the other reason I got in the business.
Okay.
She breeds ball pythons. She was always at the shows. I was stuck at home doing nothing. So when the opportunity came with Mark to start doing enclosures and racks, it allowed me to be with my wife more often. I jumped on it. Now, I'm actually kind of a newbie in the reptile industry. I'm still learning, which is kind of cool. I get to travel now, and I get to see how it is in Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia, Tampa, all over the place. So
well, I support
I'm getting an education.
Good. I support it. I like that you guys are, whenever I see like couples doing stuff together, like them two over there, I get real happy. It's nice to see, the family vibes with the businesses. But all right, where can people find you? Where can they place their orders?
They can find us on Instagram or on Facebook at Mid-Florida Displays.
There's nothing better than the smell of coffee in the morning, okay? There's also nothing better than the smell of reptiles in the morning. Psych. Reptiles with coffee. That's the smell you want. The strongest coffee, all right? We have it for you. head on over to the description or go to coldbloodedcaffeine.com and use the code ReptilesWith to get your Reptiles With coffee today. If you want to support us, head on over to modernreptileshop.com or in the description where you can find our merch. And the best part is that a % of the proceeds from the merch gets donated to conservation. One more time, that's modernreptileshop.com or head on over to the description. For people that have been listening to this podcast for a long time, this face is familiar to you. You haven't seen him in a while, but he's here. Alex, so say hello.
Well, I mean, it might not be that familiar. I have a couple extra pounds, all around, scattered, But... yeah, my name is Alex. If you're new, I am his other half to the reptiles, to the modern reptiles.
The modern reptiles, dude. But what's it like being back into like the flow of things, going to these shows? This is the second time that you come to the Atlanta one. We've done a couple like Daytonas. Obviously, we've been to Repticon before. Like, what's it like being back into the swing of things?
So, I guess you could say it's good because I don't get to see the animals as much as I used to when we had them down in Miami.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool when it's different from when you send me pictures and you're like, hey, look, this is what we had, this is what we have, whatever.
Yeah.
Versus I'm here and I'm selling them to people and I'm looking at our animals and like I see like the quality of animals that come here.
Yeah.
And then coming to the shows is also cool to like see where things have evolved over the last couple of years because since we don't do them as much as I don't do them as much as we used to or go to as many as we used to. It's really interesting to see how things have evolved, where prices have changed, where animals now have those extra genes that they just weren't having a couple years ago. Specifically up here, since I started doing these, it is super cool to see different animals that we don't see in Florida.
Yeah.
So like, to me, I've always loved reticulated pythons. I think that their patterns and they've always interested me. I've always been interested in them.
Yeah.
Pause. So it was kind of cool that you could walk around and then like you see a couple here and there at these shows.
Yeah.
Something that you don't ever see in Florida.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. And then also for reference for the new people that are listening that haven't seen Alex, when people like some of the newer listeners think that the podcast inception was always like Chuck, Tino, and I, but actually this podcast started years ago with Alex and I, and we were talking a lot about our businesses when I lived in Miami still, and then like things did change when I moved up. Like we were doing a lot of like the Zoom stuff and stuff, but then it was getting harder with like scheduling and stuff, which is why we haven't seen Alex in a while. But the whole idea for what we do as like Modern Reptile has always been like, it's first off like everybody in the family is pretty much fucking involved in this shit. So it is really a family business. Like we keep it in the family. I get personal fulfillment whenever you are coming to these shows. We're already starting to plan the stuff for next year, which I'm hoping to keep doing these Repticon shows and that you can be a part of it more often. And then I'm also hoping that we can start doing this fucking podcast again. Yeah, we should definitely do that.
Yeah, it's more of a thing of, like you said, the scheduling is kind of hard because on both ends, when you don't have a, hey, look, we're gonna meet here every so often at this time. When it's like virtual, things always tend to like get in the way. So the problem is that we would have like podcasts, but then we'd like skip a week or we skip 2 weeks, and then it's like it's not cool to like. It's not just us, more like people that are listening that do like it. Yeah. It's not cool to just like skip a couple weeks and then like eventually you just lose them anyways. Like,
Yeah. So it kind of like slows down the steam.
Yeah. So like, it's good that you guys keep going what you guys have, and like hopefully we can figure something out. It's just everything always gets complicated one way or the other.
Yeah. I was actually thinking of, and leave a comment down below because this streams through YouTube and pretty much every single streaming platform that matters.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say is maybe we could do like once a month and only do it on the streaming platforms, where it's like a bonus episode where like I can give you like updates about like what's going on with the business, and we could talk about some of these projects, and it's a more like inside look at what Modern Reptile is doing. That wouldn't be a bad idea.
No.
Yeah.
It wouldn't.
Hell yeah.
That would work.
Yeah,
I just have to find
the day
somewhere to do it.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to do it with video because it'll be all virtual, and it's going on platforms. There's no video. We just record it.
So like a phone call.
Pretty much. A modern phone call.
There you go.
So now, as far as these shows, we started going to them years, probably around like 2015. You like how they've evolved, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, and down there, I haven't gone to any recently down there. But when we used to go to them, it's kind of cool to come here and see that, it's a little bit bigger. So I should probably go to a couple down there. It's a good place to see different animals, versus like if you go to a store, they're not going to have everything. When you go to one of these shows, you're going to most likely see like everything. If you have in your head something that you want to get, like in Florida, the things that you're allowed to get are going to be there more likely than not.
Yeah.
Or if you don't, you get to see the person one-on-one and talk to whoever might have had it, and then maybe they know somebody that has what you're looking for and can connect you face-to-face, which is better than, hey, let me go on somebody's website and make a phone call, whatever. I like the personal connection that you can get here with customers. We've had customers where they'll come and they'll talk to us, and because of the conversation that we have, they didn't have any intentions of buying anything, but they're going to contact us through email or phone call later, where you're not going to make that connection through the internet.
100%.
So you get something here that you don't get like that.
100%. Was there anything here other than the Demon Slayer stuff that you bought? Is there anything here that like you were like, man, I really like to work with this. I'd really like to get some of that.
I'm going to give you the same answer that I've always given you when you give me that. The lychees.
Yeah.
Always. It's always going to be the same answer because it's always what I'm going to want. And until I get like a place where I can have my own stuff, I'm always going to give you the same answer.
I promise you that when you get your place, I'm going to buy you the lychees.
And I will get probably more than just one.
I will buy you one lychee. No.
But it's just...
Don't worry, we can write it off. It's the company expense.
There's always like... I always see animals here that they're mind-blowing. Like you have nice animals. But for some reason, the one that I always walk by, and anytime I see it, I literally stop, I turn around, and I start looking at it, is always the lychee. Yeah. Always. No matter where it is.
Yeah.
No matter if it's in Florida, if it's here... Always.
Yeah. Well, one of the times that whenever I get to go to Tiki's again, it's kind of like a middle point between the two of us. And they know you. Maybe we could go over there so you can see like their new place and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm always down to see animals.
Yeah.
Even if I can't take them home with me.
Cool. So, this is your first out-of-state show?
This is my first out-of-state show. Yes.
Okay. I mean, this is the beginning. The beginning
to great
but
things.
As far as like what you've seen. Like, what is it like as far as, like, different from Florida?
I like the setup, like the different building setup. There's a lot more stuff.
Yeah.
It's exciting. A lot of different reptiles.
Yeah.
How about setup's different.
Yeah, how about the retics, the berms, the green iguanas?
I am in love with that. That's what I'm excited about because in the future I'm going to get into the retics.
Okay.
Because I'm from Florida, I can't sell that stuff over there, but I'm going to purchase them here, house them here. And start selling here in the state of Georgia.
So you're gonna house them here?
Yes.
Okay. But you're not gonna move up here?
No.
It
was in the process, but now I'm kind of sticking to Florida. So
my first ever Repticon, I vended next to Mick. It was Fred.
I met you there.
And then with you, that is where we first met. It's clearly been a long time since then, dude.
Yep. I started with one table, remember? And
then I
ended up with 4, and so gradually I'm trying to expand.
Well, what do you see your future in with this kind of stuff? Is this something that are you doing it full time, or is it just?
That's what I'm trying to aim for full time.
Okay.
I work in construction, the retail construction business, but this is my passion. I love reptiles.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking in the future, down the line, I'm gonna eventually get a pet shop.
Okay.
Maybe within 2 years.
What part of Florida are you in?
I'm in Port St. Lucie, Florida.
Port St. Lucie. Are there any reptile shops down there?
No, not that I know of.
Okay.
The only reptile place that I used to go to was Rose's exotic pet shop.
Yeah.
But other than that, no.
Yeah. And what do you think that? What do you think that you can do differently in that retail space that can stick out? Because I know that. I mean, I am associated with some different like reptile shops and stuff like that,
Right.
and then a lot of other reptile shops have like kind of like a negative stigma and stuff like that. Some people get a bad taste in their mouth getting stuff from some reptile shops. But like, what do you think that you could do differently in that space, in that area, to kind of like stick out in Florida?
I think the most important part of it, I think, is marketing. I think marketing and introducing healthy animals. You know, it's an important. Just have a variety of things to kind of liven up the audience, right? So, like, make it standoffish. Basically.
Yeah.
And of course, having people that are knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And also do right by the customers, right?
Cool.
So if something does happen, give them that warranty and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Also setups, something that looks out of this world, different. You know, not copycatting any other pet shops or stuff like that.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of space for naturalistic setups, things that, you know, when new people are coming into the hobby, they're not going straight in and seeing like tub style, run down style, where it's just like bedding, hide, water, you know, something that's like real nice. So that way when they're walking in, it almost like in like a fish store sense that you walk in and all these tanks are amazing and there's coral and there's this.
Right.
You know, there's definitely space for that specifically here in Florida, because I think a good amount of shops are kind of like just copy and paste. Other than a reptile shop, any like cool projects that you have coming out there, you're like, yo, like this is what I'm excited for? Do you have stuff? Is there anything here at the show so far that you've seen that you're like, I might come home with this?
So the stuff that I would like to take home is like the reticulated pythons, but I can't.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm trying to do that here in the future. As far as projects, just getting into more of the high-end stuff. Definitely stuff that I can't keep in Florida. I'm gonna work with here.
Yeah.
And I have a good friend of mine here, Mick, that's gonna help me with that. So it's kind of like double tapping.
Yeah.
You know, what I can't do in Florida, I can do here. So I think it's the only legal way I could do things.
Cool.
Without getting in trouble.
Yeah. Thanks so much for tuning in. And one more time, this episode was brought to you by Premium Crickets, Reptiles Express, and Repticon Reptile Shows. We'll see you on the next one.